Hello and welcome to another Sayduck platform tutorial video, this time on textures. More specifically, we'll be comparing tile textures to baked textures. So let's begin. So what is a tile texture and what is a baked texture? Well, baked texture is what happens when you have a product in which you have created the materials, as you can see here, and then you would, in a software like Substance Painter, you would export or bake this result into one texture. And then once you add that one texture to your product, you will get the same result. Or pretty much close to the same result, because when you use a baked texture, you will be only working within the range of the resolution of the image file. So because the parts here made for the sofa will be a lot smaller, the quality and the resolution of the fabric and the materials will be lower than what you would get when you use the original source texture file. So which textures should you use? In general, whenever possible, you should use tile textures, because those allow you to get the optimal result with the lowest amount of data. It also leaves room so you can more easily customize your materials. So as we can see here, if I were to want to shift the positions of these details, I can just use the tiling values to shift these around to get the result that I want. With a baked texture, you pretty much get what you get. So you cannot customize this later or change the positions of these details, as they will affect, or it will cause issues. As you can see, some of the parts do not have that fabric texture on it, or this leather texture on it. The benefits of it is that you can have multiple different materials within the same texture file. So for example, on this product, I have the wood and the leather fabric on the same texture. But usually these base color textures are a lot heavier than what you would get with the tile textures. So pretty much on baked textures, they're easy to use, they'll fit all, so basically you just have to use one texture and your product will look okay. With tile textures, you have to customize the product and find what fits. In products with less details on it, or both textures will work very well. So in this leather, either or works. So, but then let's move to another example, for example, velvet material. Over here I have two velvets. This also, because there are not much details on it, both the baked texture and the tile texture will give similar result. Of course, with tile textures, you leave room for more customization. So for example, if I on a velvet material, you usually use the sheen material because that gives you the gleam of the velvet material. And with when you start working with texture files, it is also a lot easier for you to further customize your product. So example, I have here created a different velvet result, and this will give you more like the look that I want. This is also like a tile texture that you can just basically move around to get the result that you're looking for. With a baked texture, the customization possibilities are a lot lower, as you would always have to go to Substance Painter or other softwares and generate a new texture for you to change even the tiniest detail on it. Now let's move to the final example, which is fabric. In this fabric, you can clearly see the difference or the benefits of the tile texture compared to a baked texture, as a fabric texture usually is repeated a lot more, so there's a lot more tiling value. So with a tile texture, you can still get the same resolution from the image, but on a baked texture, you will start to lose this resolution, as you only can work within like 2K quality. If you could upload like 8K textures, then you would be adding like 20 megabytes of data, which is not good in 3D. But with tiling values, you can get that 8K quality or like 16K quality, even if you depends on the texture that you use, and you can further customize the pattern as much as you want within the Sayduck platform. More globally, the main baked texture, so usually you should always use, for optimal resolution and performance of 3D viewer, you should use tile textures, but with one exception, which is the occlusion map. The occlusion map is one of those baked textures that cannot be simulated with the tiling value, as it gives the shading of each part. So those have to be actually baked into a texture. So that is the exception. In most cases, or in 90% of products that we create, we use the original source, so the tile textures with a baked texture on the occlusion map. Then also, when you receive, like usually if you receive these kind of files from your source, it's always good to again check whether each file actually adds something to the product, or can you just simply remove them and get similar results. Perfect. That's it for tile textures and baked textures.